Before the internet swooped in to save humanity from its own confusion, people believed some truly spectacular nonsense. From thinking lightning had a personal schedule to assuming vegetables could grant superpowers, our ancestors collected weird ideas like they were rare treasures. Today, we are diving into 15 of the dumbest things humans confidently believed long before Googling became the global emergency fact-checker. Let's start with number 15. Illness was caused by angry spirits. Before germs were discovered, people blamed everything on irritated, supernatural beings. A headache meant a ghost was knocking on the inside of your skull. A fever meant an invisible monster was roasting you like a chicken. Sneezing was treated like a cosmic alarm bell announcing spiritual interference. Entire medical systems were built on the assumption that spirits got bored and took out their frustrations on humans. Treatments included chanting, smoking herbs in closed rooms, and occasionally bonking someone on the head to scare away the invisible culprit. People did question the logic because nothing could be seen and anything invisible felt ghostly by default. When early scientists suggested that microscopic organisms might be the real culprits, many reacted with disbelief. How could something tiny cause so much chaos? Still, the germ theory eventually won because microscopes were far more convincing than blaming every cough on grumpy spirits. 14. Bloodletting could cure anything. For centuries, people believed that draining blood was the ultimate fix for nearly every problem. Too warm? Remove some blood. Too cold? Remove some blood. Feeling cranky? Remove more blood. Doctors carried fancy knives and leeches like stylish accessories. Patients allowed themselves to be drained with full confidence that less blood meant more health. The logic behind this practice came from the old belief that the body contained humors that had to stay in perfect balance. If something felt off, the solution was to lower the red humor by letting it leak out. This treatment was so popular that even influential leaders underwent multiple sessions. It stayed mainstream far longer than it should have, leaving countless people lightheaded for reasons unrelated to illness. Eventually, science stepped in and pointed out that draining patients was not the most efficient way to keep them alive. 13. Tomatoes were poisonous. It is hard to imagine now, but there was a time when Europeans viewed tomatoes as sinister red orbs plotting human downfall. People believed the bright color signaled toxicity. Wealthy individuals eating tomatoes from pewter plates sometimes became sick, and this confirmed the rumor. The real culprit was lead leaching from old tableware, but tomatoes took all the blame. Many feared that touching or even smelling them could bring misfortune. Farmers grew tomato plants purely as decorations because no one dared bite into one. The idea stuck long enough that entire regions avoided them completely. Eventually, brave eaters proved tomatoes were harmless and even delicious. Once that happened, the fruit went from feared poison to culinary superstar. Today, tomatoes are found in sauces, salads, and every fast food commercial, which makes their old reputation even more amusing. Fear based on color alone can be surprisingly persuasive. 12. Miasma caused all diseases. Long before germ theory, people were convinced that bad air was the root of every sickness. If it smelled unpleasant, it had to be dangerous. Entire cities believed that foul odors drifting through streets were responsible for plagues, infections, and sudden outbreaks. This idea shaped urban planning, leading officials to focus on covering up bad smells instead of addressing actual contamination. Perfumes, burning herbs, and hanging flowers in homes were seen as medical strategies rather than attempts to improve ambience. Doctors carried strange beaked masks stuffed with fragrant plants, believing that blocking smelly air protected them from disease. People took this belief seriously enough to flee areas with strong odors. While air quality can affect health, the idea that every illness emerged from stinky breezes created confusion and incorrect medical practices for centuries. Once microscopes revealed microbes, the miasma theory lost its mystical influence. Quick reminder, if you are enjoying, do like the video and subscribe the channel for upcoming content. 11. Hair grows thicker after shaving. Many people accepted the idea that shaving magically transformed hair into a thicker, darker version of itself. When someone shaved their face or legs and felt rough stubble afterward, they assumed the hair was growing back stronger. This belief spread so far that parents warned teenagers to avoid razors or risk turning into fuzzy creatures. The truth is that shaved hair feels blunt because it is cut straight across, not because it is suddenly empowered. People noticed the texture difference and concluded that shaving had triggered a transformation. For generations, this idea persisted across cultures and was often treated as unquestionable wisdom. When researchers later demonstrated that shaving had zero impact on hair growth or thickness, some remained skeptical. The belief was simply to catch it. It survived through barbershops, beauty circles, and late-night gossip before finally losing credibility thanks to simple scientific testing. 10. Lightning never strikes the same place twice. People once believed lightning behaved like a polite visitor that refused to return to a location it had already visited. If a tree, tower, or unlucky barn got struck once, locals confidently crossed it off the list of future targets. The idea spread because lightning appeared random and humans prefer simple explanations for loud sky violence. When storms arrived, some even felt safer standing near previously struck areas. The reality is that tall and conductive structures attract lightning repeatedly. Old myths ignored that electrical charges do not care about fairness or courtesy. Yet this belief remained stubbornly popular and made its way into stories, poems, and dramatic speeches. Scientists eventually debunked it with basic observations. Buildings like skyscrapers and mountain peaks get hit over and over because they are easy targets. Even with modern understanding, the phrase still survives in casual conversation, proving how strongly catchy ideas can linger. 9. Humans only use 10% of the brain. The claim that humans operate on 10% brain power became one of the most persistent misconceptions in history. People imagine vast, unused regions of the mind sitting in darkness like dusty storage rooms full of forgotten potential. Movies, books, and motivational speakers loved repeating it because it sounded mysterious and empowering. The myth grew so popular that many believed unlocking the remaining 90% would create instant geniuses, telepaths, or walking supercomputers. The idea started from misinterpreted scientific notes and quickly snowballed into global misinformation. Modern brain scans show that humans use their entire brain, just not all parts at the same time. Even simple tasks activate multiple regions. Nothing is left idle, like unused attic space. The brain is more like a busy city with constant activity. The 10% myth survives because it feels dramatic and entertaining, even though no evidence has ever supported it. 8. Cracking knuckles causes arthritis. For decades, people were convinced that cracking knuckles was a dangerous hobby leading directly to arthritis. Anyone caught popping their joints in public risked earning lectures and dramatic stares. The belief came from the loud popping sound, which people assumed meant something important was breaking apart inside the hand. The noise led to assumptions about damage. Families passed the warning down through generations until it felt like established medical truth. Researchers later discovered that the popping sound comes from bubbles forming and collapsing inside joint fluid. No bones were grinding into dust and no long-term harm was occurring. This information surprised many because the myth had been repeated endlessly. Some even claimed they knew someone who developed arthritis because they cracked their knuckles too much, even though no evidence supports the connection. The misconception survived mostly because the sound annoyed people and made the warning feel emotionally believable. 7. Eating carrots improves night vision. Many people proudly believe that munching carrots could grant impressive night vision, almost like a vegetable-powered upgrade. The idea grew popular during wartime when governments intentionally exaggerated the claim to disguise the development of new radar technology. People accepted the story instantly because it sounded wholesome and heroic. Carrots contain vitamin A, which helps maintain healthy eyesight, but does not grant the ability to see in darkness. Despite this, generations of children were encouraged to eat more carrots with promises of glowing vision. The myth became a regular part of school cafeterias and family dinner conversations. Even adults repeated it with confidence. The belief survived long after radar secrets were revealed because it blended nutrition, patriotism, and imagination. Although carrots support eye health, no amount of chewing will give anyone bat-like powers or the ability to read signs in a dark room. 6. The tongue has separate taste zones. People once believed that different parts of the tongue detected specific tastes. Diagrams in textbooks showed neat regions labeled sweet, salty, sour, and bitter. Many stared at these drawings and accepted them without question. The theory suggested that a sweet candy touching the wrong area would somehow fail to taste sweet until moved to its designated zone. This idea spread because the chart looked scientific. Restaurants, teachers, and even some health professionals repeated it until it became common knowledge. Modern research shows that taste receptors are spread all over the tongue and can detect every basic flavor. There are no exclusive zones. The original chart was based on a misinterpreted paper that became wildly popular. Once printed, it was difficult to correct. People love simple visuals even when inaccurate. The myth remained in classrooms for decades, turning an innocent diagram into an international misunderstanding. 5. The Great Wall of China is visible from space. For years, people believed astronauts could easily spot the Great Wall of China from space. Textbooks, trivia books, and casual conversations repeated the claim as if it were undeniable fact. The idea sounded impressive, and many wanted it to be true, because it elevated the wall's legendary status. The truth is that the wall is relatively narrow and blends in with the surrounding landscape. Astronauts in low Earth orbit can see large cities, highways, and airports more easily than the wall. The myth persisted because it fit neatly into stories about human achievement being so grand it could be viewed from the heavens. Early reports misinterpreted orbital observations, and newspapers repeated them without verification. Even after astronauts clarified the mistake, the belief continued to circulate. It remains one of the most famous geographical misconceptions and still appears in conversations around the world. 4. Goldfish have a 3-second memory. Many believed goldfish wandered through their little bowls in a constant state of confusion, forgetting everything after 3 seconds. This misconception likely grew because goldfish swim in repetitive loops that look like aimless wandering. People assumed short memory explained the behavior. Studies eventually showed that goldfish remember things for months, can recognize patterns, and learn simple tasks. They are far more aware than their reputation suggests. Despite this, the 3-second idea became a popular joke and found its way into television shows, cartoons, and classroom humor. The belief stuck because it was easy to repeat and sounded amusing. Observing goldfish swimming in circles reinforced the myth, even though the behavior had nothing to do with memory. The truth paints goldfish as reasonably intelligent creatures capable of learning feeding schedules and responding to familiar faces. 3. Humans swallow its spider's ear while sleeping. This myth spread across the internet with surprising speed. People repeated it nervously, imagining spiders marching into sleeping mouths as if responding to an invisible schedule. The story likely originated as a demonstration of how quickly false facts can spread. Many accepted it because it played on natural fears and felt disturbingly specific. In reality, spiders avoid humans and have no interest in crawling into warm, breathing caves that shift unpredictably. Bedrooms are not spider highway systems, and sleeping people do not attract wandering insects. Still, the myth became a global talking point. It appeared in articles, conversations, and social media posts until it felt genuine. Experts repeatedly dismissed the claim, yet many continued sharing it for shock value. The belief survives as a humorous example of how easily strange and unsettling ideas can gain popularity, even without any evidence. 2. The sun revolves around us. For a surprisingly long time, humans were absolutely convinced that the entire universe was basically doing laps around Earth. People imagined the sun waking up every morning, stretching its fiery arms, and starting its daily jog across the sky like some kind of cosmic athlete. Early astronomers insisted Earth was too important to be spinning or moving anywhere. Why would the grand center of existence rotate like a common planet? The idea stuck because no one felt the ground moving under their feet, and the sky looked like a giant dome rotating overhead. That was considered airtight evidence. When later scientists suggested Earth might actually be the one doing the spinning and orbiting, some people reacted as if someone said the sky was held up by invisible chickens. The belief lasted long enough to shape entire civilizations and their calendars before basic physics and telescopes flipped the script. 1. The Earth is flat. Long before maps, satellites, and airplane windows, many people believed Earth was as flat as a giant pancake. Sailors feared drifting too far from shore because they imagined an oceanic cliff waiting to swallow their ships like a sloppy cosmic waterfall. Some envisioned monstrous creatures guarding the edge, while others pictured an abrupt drop into a dark void. Flat Earth thinking was so common that many travelers stayed close to familiar waters just to avoid becoming cautionary legends. People trusted their eyes more than logic. Land looked flat, so naturally, they assumed Earth must be the same. This belief managed to survive for centuries and popped up in surprisingly advanced cultures. The idea didn't fade until explorers and astronomers began offering proofs that were harder to deny. Despite that, the belief still sneaks around sometimes, proving that old ideas rarely retire peacefully.